that was very hard for me to learn, because typical what we do when we ride ourselves and we're trying to teach us, we're trying to teach what we feel. Yes, you can learn riding by books, but not really, because there's old saying, it's really true. Riding, you only learn by doing it, by riding. And what you do when you ride a lot, you develop a feel. So when my students complained about this and that and this and that, I just thought they were just whiny and weak. And I never understood it, only to have that explained by somebody else. Lower back pain often occurs from the wrong saddle fit. Personally, I have never experienced that, but thinking back, my sister, my wife, my female students, even of back then when I had different saddles sponsored to me, they always were complaining about their backs. I couldn't relate. So in the lower back section, if I'm thinking about, as I said earlier, there's humans who have a birth channels and there are humans who don't have a birth channel. So if you as a rider have a long tailbone, most likely those are the people without birth channel, the guys, and your pelvis axis in the center, you sit as a male on the horse, often like a tripod. In other words, very secure. Your pelvis axis is in the center. And for all you folks who have gone and learned how to ride with your partner, and your partner is the guy and you're the girl, who gets the attention? The guy, because instantly he has a better seat. Even you are the girl who is so passionate about horses. So where I'm going with this is the balance axis in the pelvis. It's easier for a male to balance just because the way our pelvis is designed by nature, not by saddle maker or by Jochen Schleser or by a gynecologist, by nature. So if a woman rides in a saddle what is made for a male's pelvis, she has a shorter tailbone, she falls back, she collapses, and then your disc becomes a massive issue. Many riders have L4, L5 issues. Often if the saddle doesn't fit in the upper inner thigh, another big complaint is sciatic nerve, leg falling asleep, foot falling asleep, because that runs between this rider's crotch. The rider's crotch is, that's where part of the saddle is. Not right here in the pubic symphysis, more down there where the hip is. So a very common problem with riders is hip point, because the majority of the riders, let's face it, are females. And guys, this here is a guy, his femur goes straight down. There's more space here where I put that green stuff in. So for a guy, we want close contact there, but we want that area filled out. Now, if a girl sits on a guy's saddle, often finds it too wide, legs go forward, and it puts a tremendous stress, not only as eye joints, but also on the hip. Here's what the picture I was telling you about. Look at on the left. Easy for guys to balance on this on the horse, because our pelvis axis, this is the hip socket, these are the seat bones, this is the tailbone, that's the front. So the pelvis axis, in other words, how I balance myself on my pelvis, it's smack in the middle. On the ladies, please don't be mad with me, ladies. I didn't design your pelvis, nature did. Okay, your hip sockets are more forward and your pelvis axis is more forward. Furthermore, look from the side. The male has a longer tailbone. That's what I was saying. You know how you sit on a horse more secure as a guy. We don't have so much lordosis. Our lower back is not as curved as a female, which means our butt cheek sits closer to the horse's back, and the front bone here is way up. If that's not a huge advantage, we have another advantage. We can put our parts left or right. Ladies, you can't. Your female parts are underneath you inside. And your hip sockets, not on the guy, okay? On the female, angle your femur forward. On the guy, fall straight down. Now, for me as a saddle maker, I wish I would have known this way before when I started making it. For me, it was way too late as an instructor, as a judge, as a saddle maker. I never knew all this. I think every saddle maker should know this. But the more sad part is the majority of the riders don't know it, that there is a dedicated pelvis for a lady who gives birth. We call it birth channel. And there's a dedicated saddle for either the lady's pelvis or the male's pelvis. Most people don't know. They have no clue. And it just absolutely floors me that in this day and age, with all this technology and AI and social media and whatever's out there, there's still riders who never experienced to ride in a proper fitted saddle. Blows my mind. I could go back in time and then says, well, I was pretty involved. I was the king of my little area and I thought I knew it all, right? And sometimes we are too close-minded and we don't know what we don't know, right? So I don't want to be too hard on all these people. So on the male, see how high the pubic symphysis goes, on the female flat. We have lots of room on the bone in the saddle, in the crotch. Ladies, you sit right on top, okay? Especially when you ride on the wrong saddle. So it's absolutely important that you really, really find the right seat for yourself. Otherwise, you constantly compensate, push yourself back. You need that gap in the crotch. Most people don't. And they don't even sit with the seat bones on because they're sitting on a male saddle. Okay, so these 9 features are hugely important. Madison, repeat the question to me one more time.
What kind of health issues do riders commonly experience from the use of an ill-fitting saddle?
Number 1, chronic bladder and kidney infection. And I couldn't believe when Dr. James Warson said that to me. Also, the gynecologist, one of our first Grand Prix dressage rider, told me this. There's many people who have that issue. From a saddle? Yes, from a saddle, because the constant rubbing and friction. And that, of course, gets infected, and then you have the chronic bladder and kidney infection. Number 2 is the hip issues, like I explained to you. Ladies, your femur looks different. Here's a less space between your upper inner thigh, between a lady's legs versus what I showed you previously on the guy's legs. So your hip and knee pain is a second, and the third most common is a lower back pain, the disc, what I started with.